Hey guys, it's your wax girl back for another video. We are going to make these kind of marbled votives. It's like a 2-for-1. I'm going to show you how I use a votive mold and how I painted my candle with crayons. I know I said don't use crayons, but it's okay in this case. Okay guys, so here's what you will need. A votive mold, a pin, this is kind of optional but I'll show you why it is fantastic, crayons to paint the outside, and I'm using a lavender essential oil to scent my candle, which is optional, but if you plan on burning this candle it's always nice to have scent. So this is a votive mold. We've not used one of these in a video yet, but these are awesome. So again, as with my last mold video, these are very, very sharp on the edges, so just be very careful when handling them. Now this is a wick pin, and basically it goes into your candle. Instead of putting just a wick in there and then pouring your wax, you can use this handy device, and it's actually really awesome for helping pull out your candle instead of using a wick, because a lot of times if your candle's a little stuck and you just are trying to tug on the wick to get it out, you can just slide the wick right out on accident. So they're super useful, basically. So you're gonna start by, I like to wipe out my mold just to make sure that it's clean, and then I'm going to basically lubricate with an olive oil. You could use Pam, like spray Pam, like cooking spray. There is also demolding spray that you can use to lubricate. I'm going to say lubricate a few more times just to make you uncomfortable, to lubricate your mold so that your candle slides out nice and easily. If you're using a pillar blend wax, a specially formulated wax that's made for molds, it should pull out relatively easily, but I'm just melting down old candles and I'm not sure what kind of wax they are. So just to be on the safe side, I'm wiping everything with olive oil. Very simply, next you're just going to pour in your wax. And again, I've already added my scent, and you're going to let it harden. This wax generally tends to shrink a bit, so pouring it pretty full is a good way to make sure that your wax isn't sinking that much. So now I'm going to peel my crayons. If you're curious what I'm burning in the background, it's one of my massage oil candles. I'll do a video on those at some point. They're pretty good smelling. This one's rosemary. Get your crayons naked. Naked crayons. Crayons. You should be more modest on the internet. Why are you taking off all your clothes? Crayons. This is not a sex tape. That's not appropriate for YouTube. Oh, crayons, you are so silly. Put your clothes back on. Anyway, lost my mind there for a second. Peel your crayons. I did not end up using that actually that much, so I maybe didn't need to peel them, but you never know. You never know what you don't know. You could use an X-Acto knife too to slice down the paper. So I left it overnight, and it nicely popped right out as planned, so I was very thankful for that. You can squeeze the edges of the mold to try to loosen it. Now you're going to just peel off this little extra wax down here at the bottom. If you let your candle cool completely, it's so much easier to remove, so don't be too hasty. Now my candle is a little stuck to the wick pin, and this happens a good portion of the time when I'm making candles and molds. You're going to want to find something flat and sharp. Maybe not sharp, but very thin and hard. Not this object that I found, but I did use an X-Acto knife, and you're going to want to loosen the base of your wick pin. It turns out that was not my problem. It's actually stuck to the pin itself and not the base. And so I did a little Googling, little Google machine, and read that you can smack the metal part of your base, that hard metal part there, onto something like concrete, and one good sharp hit should loosen your candle from your wick pin, and then you should be able to slide it right off. And so off camera I did try, see it's pretty stuck here, but off camera you'll see in a minute I did try that technique. I only had to hit it once and then it did slide right off, as you will observe. Slide it very gently down and wiggle out your pin, and ta-da, you have made a votive candle. So pretty. My base isn't totally flat, and I could melt it a little bit to flatten it out, like use a spoon or melt it on a hot surface like that, but I don't really care. It did sink in a tiny bit, and that's okay. So now to the fun decorating part. I am using a heat gun, and I am going to melt crayon to paint on the outside, as so. So pretty. So here is some melted crayon using a paintbrush that I don't care that much about. I am painting wax on, and you can do whatever design you want. This is just kind of what came to mind. Whatever colors. I'm using purples, blues, and kind of reds because it's lavender. Now I'm using a heat gun here to melt down my wax. If I was doing a lot of candles, I have another way of melting wax like this. I would have taken the whole plate, pie tin thing, and put it on one of those electric pancake griddles. I have one of those just for arts and crafts, so we don't cook food on it because that would be gross. But I would have put the whole plate on top of a hot griddle to keep my wax melted. But again, I'm only doing one candle, so I'm just reheating over and over again this wax. Now, be very careful when you are switching colors and when you are done and you want to get wax off your brush. If you have a synthetic bristled brush, the plastic, because the bristles are made out of plastic, could fuse together if it is too hot. So holding your heat gun a good distance away will keep that from happening. Yeah. I can talk, I swear. I've been up for a while. So just paint and paint and paint and make it pretty full. I like to alternate colors, break up same colors so that it's not monotonous. Alright, so I know I said don't use crayons with your candles if you watched my last video, but votives and pillar candles are sort of designed not to melt all the way to the edge. Sometimes they do, but generally they're designed not to, so that you don't have wax spilling everywhere. Typically, the melt pool will stay in the center of the candle and it's less likely to get crayon wax in it. That's not to say it won't. It might, but it's less likely to. And that's what you don't want. You don't want your crayon wax to end up and going up through your wick for a lot of reasons. One, it smells bad when it burns. Two, like my last video explained, it clogs up your wick, all the pigments. And three, it's gonna mess up the top of your candle. So by painting just the outside edge, you should be pretty safe, and you'll be less likely to get it into your wick. So here's it so far. I'm going to add a little red to, again, break up the colors just a little more. So again, that's why I'm not painting the top of my candle, just the outside. And you don't need to paint the bottom of your candle. There's no point. No one's going to see it. If this is just for decoration, then go for it. You can paint the top, but if you're planning on burning your candle, I wouldn't. And keep painting and make it prettiful. Sorry if you heard me get flustered there. I turned around and my child had spilled powdered tea mix everywhere. So, happy Mother's Day to me. Quick vacuum and we are back to recording our voiceover. Sorry. I had to keep glancing over to make sure he wasn't making even bigger of a mess. So anyway, I like to fill in all my gaps with my lightest color to again break up the monotony of the entire candle and to brighten it up a little bit because it is spring, but I do enjoy my darker colors, which is why I use them a lot. But just to kind of tie everything together, I want to try to fill in the white spaces as much as I can for the most part. Keep melting. And if you melt too much crayon, you can always save it for another project or do another candle. You don't have to make your own candle for these. You can buy store-bought white candles and paint the outside. That is perfectly okay. I just thought 2 birds, 1 stone. I'll show you how to make a votive candle, and then this cool little decorating technique I think I made up, but I don't know. It's probably out there on the internet somewhere. So there you have it. I decided I didn't like it so choppy, so I took my heat gun one more time and I am just melting it until it gets glossy, just to kind of meld the edges of each color together. But I don't want to do it too much because I don't want to melt my candle, and I don't want to melt the wax crayon off of my candle and don't want to make it drippy. Being very careful because this is very, very hot and I burn my fingers very easily. Just melting until you are satisfied. You could melt until it's drippy, totally a possibility, but I'm waiting and blowing on it till it's cool so I can touch it again. Again, you do want, if you do plan on burning these, do scent your candle, because if you do get burn any crayon wax accidentally in your candle while burning it, it just doesn't smell good. So do scent your candle with these if you plan on burning them. Otherwise, there you have it. That's it. You don't have to do anything else to it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty inexpensive. And last, you're going to insert your wick. If you want to see any of the products that I use or what I recommend, I do have them linked below. I have a blog post about all the products that I like to use and where you can buy them. Some of them I make it very clear what are affiliate links and what aren't, so that you have that option. And again, trim your wick 1/4 inch for optimal burning and for safety reasons. And there you have it. So yes, like I said, I have affiliate links. They are, if you buy from those links, they are of no extra cost to you, but I do get a small kickback, and that helps fund my channel and it helps me buy wax basically. So there you have it. This is our little marbled candle. Pretty easy and straightforward and fun to make, I think. And I hope you enjoyed. If you like this, please subscribe so you can see all the other candle tutorials that I make in the future, and that we can be friends on social media. I have them all linked below. I hope you enjoyed, guys. Peace.